Alright, so GameObject Lifecycle. So the way it works is that within each GameObject, there is no, GameObject is also another one of those classes that commented on. Yeah, but besides the point. So within that class, there is a submit, entry, and submit exit functions. What those do, they are submitting the commands for entry or exit respectively. And what those commands do, those commands call connect to scene function within the game object, which does the additional check for the current state of the registration, and then calls the scene entry function of the game object, which each game object derived class inherits. So like within the thing, after I initialize in the constructor my data, call initialize function, and then I submit entry. So what the submit entry gonna do? It's gonna start the registration process, much like the all other registration processes, and in the end, it's gonna result in calling the scene entry function, which is gonna register all of these objects, all of these exables right here. And then in case when I'm dying, let's actually showcase it on bullets. It's a factory class. Yeah, so whenever I create a bullet, check the pool, see if it's empty. I create a new bullet, push it to the active pool, whatever, and then after I initialize with position and angle, I submit entry for the bullet. So what's it's gonna do? It's going to call that scene entry class. It's gonna register that bullet inside. So this actually prevents bullet from being. So actually, before we get to that, what happens if we if the bullet disappears? Either it collides with something, or its lifetime ends. It's going to let's say for collision, it's going to register alarm because it's no longer need alarm, and it's going to call submit exit, which is going to call all of this, the registration code, and return the bullet. And then within the return the bullet, just does some pull interactions. But this actually prevents from the situation where I call the bullet, it expires on one frame, and in that exact same frame I call the bullet again. So at this point it would have submit all of the deregistration stuff. If it was that situation, it would have submit all of the deregistration stuff, but then I would have to submit it again, and would have mismatched the registration states within the commands. Yeah, this actually prevents it from happening. Alright, and then that should be it for the object lifecycle.